Challenger Katowice. It's Eternal Fire and Bait on Dust2.
Wakari starting off with the dualies. And of course, we do have ourselves a little bit of a nice little tunnels entrance, looking to make things work. Now, one of the players who I am scared of on this map, and I'm very scared of him, is Woxic. It feels like this is the one map he's never really let go of. He has been the merchant of death on it very often. Xantares, however, has been known to sell those wares many times over as well. It's a one-for-one trade down in middle. Sentinel takes him out and then immediately receding back to the B tunnels.
Yeah, I have a kit and full util on Major, but it's going to be hard to use that if they don't actually hold on to this B-bomb site. Wicadia with those dualies up close, the damage is good from his teammate inside of the site as well. Calix offering that support and doing a lot himself, finding 3 kills in this pistol round. It's Eternal Fire that see no real problems deterring that B-bomb site.
Just how you hope to see them.
Yeah, I mean, nice to see Xantares get on the board very quickly as well. I mean, if we're going to talk about Eternal Fire, it's hard to ignore both him and Woxic as the players that made the jump to international waters. I mean, Calix did as well, but we don't
talk about it.
We don't really think about that envy anymore. Didn't exactly envy his position either.
Shout out to Nifty the IGL. That was a good time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they even decided to pick up UK players, and that didn't pan out too great either.
When does it ever? I mean, even Vitality's been talking about replacing theirs for so long at this point. But enough about bad rumors that we don't attribute anything to. It's a quick little eco round from Bait. This should just be mowed down. Their objective is straightforward. Let's not give too much cash. Unfortunately, they don't know how to go about that, but if it's down middle, that would be the right direction. At the same time, do you want to let Xantares farm up, money or not? You don't want him to feel good.
Yeah, it seems like Eternal Fire have a pretty good read on this. They've ceded short control. It's the only area of the map that has no actual CT presence. And given that there's nothing being shown here by Bait, already suspicious that they're grouping themselves up like this. But of course, the more you can bleed util out of Eternal Fire's pockets, the better it is for you, especially when you only have Glocks. And if they can somehow bridge the journey, maybe throw a few sacrificial lambs out there so that they can get a bomb plant down, it would be rather nice. Xantares, 2 kills, and some support being offered by Woxic as well. These M4s gunning them down. Nothing really being found here from Bait other than damage.
You know what, Michael? I went to Istanbul earlier this year, around in March.
Okay.
And one thing I can tell you about the Turks is they know how to cook their lambs.
Nice. There was just so much sacrifice.
Yeah,
it was actually great, nothing
honestly.
from it. Yeah,
absolutely. Bringing out that tender meat. That being said, though, I am really looking forward to just seeing how Eternal Fire looks right now, because as much as we're hyping them up, there's also just a specter of this team does well at an event and then goes missing at the other one. Rio sure to beat G2, but also at the same time, you lost to Mongols immediately afterwards. A pretty poor finish overall.
Yeah, the fact they found themselves in a lower bracket in the first place, you know, especially after, what, they go to Dasha, they play second, they lose to Spirit, and then they go the full best of 5 against a Navi at the following event. You know, you're expecting more from Eternal Fire.
It's a temperamental team.
Yeah.
Maybe reflective of some of the personalities and what we've heard about them over the years, but obviously a lot of maturation as well for these players. And for Bait, that's maybe what they might be missing, and that's what they're hoping to find over here at this event. A little bit of maturity, a little bit of LAN experience, a little bit of, hey, we're behind. How do we come back in? And this is the round where they want to do it.
This will also be the first event where Eternal Fire have any expectations on them. Like they were describing on the desk, they are typically attributed as dark horses, not favorites. So how will they deal with that added expectation? It's a whole other can of worms. Util being missed here by Bait, but they're just working map control. NPL does get himself into CT, and Alex will capitalize on all the chaos. It is a B-sided split. Major's in a terrible spot to deal with it, and yeah, just pincer between both angles. Bait, a very slow developing round, but one that does result in a site take, and more likely the round with it.
That's a really nice plan, though. That's just a double swing coming out in the weirdest way possible, where Alex is pushing through middle, and then NPL is dropping down into CT. That's obviously very risky, especially when NPL looks a little bit shaky on the aim, and you've got this few flashes going into the round, but I'm imagining the extra grenades as well are in case the B-side players has saved up smokes and you just want to pop those through and come in. So Bait really coming in with a nicely executed gun round overall. Eternal Fire will be saving 3, and Those 3 are rifles, so nothing too much lost, but it's a good start for the Ukrainian side.
Yeah, I think this is what has made Dust2 actually kind of an interesting map as well, is that with the smoke changes that have occurred, as well as the fact that I think teams are exploring this as an option more. You know, you can bridge a lurk smoke into a CT smoke, and it can be just as threatening that it's an A-side attack as well as a potential B split. So yeah, NPL making good use of that chaos by dropping in spawn. And Bait a pretty easy round once they were able to get that opening entry. I mean, Major just had the toughest time. See if they can bounce back. Of course, that was the bonus round in that second, given that they had no casualties versus the Glocks. So it's all M4s, an AK for Calyx as well. But Bait, once again, will be very fast to take mid control. I think Dust2 gets a little bit of a bad rap, given that it can be a fairly... You know, the way that the rounds build is all very similar, especially on that T side. I think what makes Bait and Eternal Fire quite interesting is that they show this level where, you know, it's standard map control into building an idea, but they also like to really pace things up, and they've got a lot of different people that can step up in moments like it. It's a much faster B-side execute, and they've already found the entry onto B.
Mage is not ready either. Captain Kirk is already in, and he's actually one of the players who goes a little bit neglected on this team. He's an incredible focal point for the entries along with NPL, and if these 2 guys can get going on a T side, you are dealing with a lot of trouble. Again, a good B-side hit. Once again, that mid focus paying off well for Bait, and if this ends up being a trend later on, we are really going to need to see that Woxic AWP come into play.
Yeah, almost certainly. Especially if they're going to allow so much early map control. The AWP is actually one way in which you can be very sporadic and very disruptive, especially with the ability to quick boost onto short. You know, you've got many different boosts you can throw into middle. You can get into the lower tunnels and go for a pick there as well. I feel like there are a lot of options, and some of it is based on spawns, but given that there are, I guess, paths you can take from most of the spawn positions, you're gonna have chances.
And it's not like you can't do a lot in the mid-round with it as well, right? Like, re-aggressing in with an AWP seems so much stronger. It feels like you're not necessarily reliant on flashes. It's one of the reasons why I think even though the AWP's clearly been nerfed in some ways in CS2, because people are buying less flashes as well, it does feel more valuable on the CT side for being able to get that quick peek out on LAN and get a quick, you know, man advantage reclaimed or something like it. So we're definitely going to be looking after that. But still, that scope weapon is far away. And for Bait, that's exactly what they're hoping to capitalize on. This time, concentrating powers back into the upper tunnels one more time.
Oh, if they went for a B burst, it actually would have been so perfect. Major only has a flash, a smoke that will segment those tunnels as well. But given that Bait had all that extra manpower, it would have likely turned sour for Eternal Fire. Once again, another slow builder. I think if they hadn't been smoked immediately, there was good opportunity for a B-side attack. But they seem very focused on B. Another attempt will be made. Major does have Wikadia on the site, but there's very little that they can do to stall the Ts when they actually go and deliver the execute.
Well, that's not going to be helping at all. Wikadia is now waiting for them to come around the corner. Swing in, and Alex has his head. Beautifully done. And look at the entries that Bait are giving us. It is perfection. This is exactly what you want. And look, Sam was talking about how, you know, maybe we talk too much about the reps you get online, but frankly speaking, this is the muscle memory you get off the back of it as well. Some crispy headshots.
Yeah. Now, this is also the thing about Bait is, you know, much like you would look at an Eternal Fire and think, who's going to actually go in for entries? You know, Major sometimes throws himself into the mix. Antares is obviously the biggest distributor of headshots. Wikadia can do it. Calyx can. You know, there's not really like a weak link. I think that is very similar to how I would think about this Bait roster, especially on a map like Dust2, where sometimes you are so spread out and you're maybe just hunting map control or limit testing. It's just another one of those things where both these teams are in similar positions, but Eternal Fire is obviously further along in that journey when we're talking about them making it to the finals of a pro league. You know, it's so difficult to think that they would struggle against a team that are still, I guess, getting their comeuppance.
Yeah. But this is also always what it felt like maybe it's a bit of fool's gold when you're looking out towards them, right? Like, do we have what it takes to continually be a top contender? Or are you going to be like the Mongols is, right? Where sometimes you're coming through and tearing everything up, and sometimes maybe your aim's not working. Maybe Major's not getting the right calls at times.
Yeah, obviously a lot to discuss here early for Eternal Fire. You win the first couple of rounds, and there is obviously the challenge now of losing the consecutive gun rounds. And sure, you'll have some weapons that you can carry into this follow-up, but you're going to definitely need big performances from Xantares, from Woxic, from Calix, and you can see Calix desperate to get out towards long. There's Xantares to sweep things up, and at least a one-for-one trade, and there's Xantares chewing them up out towards long. Fantastic triple kill from one of the carried over rifles, and just like that, the initial map control from Bait immediately dispersed. Even with Essential having a pathway into B, dealing with Major on the extremity, it will still feel like this map is very small. Weapons will be recovered, and Alex will look to rejoin. But they have to be able to deal with Woxic. He finds himself nestled into that B-bomb site while his teammates are clearing out towards those long doors. They're gathering information with all that early presence. They now start to realize that Bait are likely gravitating towards B. There is a timing where they could have gone up to short. So this reinforcements to Woxic is still at least 10 seconds away, but he has to do well to get his first. If the entry is clean, Bait are right back into it. They have more than enough util to stall as well for the execute, and the Ripper from Essential is absolutely key. Plant will come in, and now the fact that they have smokes, they have Molotovs to stall will make things more complicated. No kit available here for Eternal Fire all the same. And it will come down to Xantares. The more he starts to step, the closer he gets to that bomb site, things could get very awkward. Essential might be able to hear one just missed moment, but Alex, it is a fantastic frag. Wicadia there with the trade, but Alex there to respond all the same. It is critical doubles from Essential and Alex that keep them in this round. And even with Eternal Fire only bringing in 3 guns, they make it close, but it is not quite enough.
You just can't deal with this. You just can't deal with the relentless aggression of these rifles, how good they look individually. Eternal Fire after that pistol round have got absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, Xantares is getting 3 kills over towards long, definitely helping, but as soon as Essential gets that opening into B onto Woxic, the round just flips on its head, and this is Woxic maybe a little aggrieved by how the round played out, starting out with that AWP finally in his possessions, and now with a shutdown towards long as well. Even with everybody being full flashed, unable to get a secondary kill. But Eternal Fire will be happy with the start.
At least for the round, if nothing else. And they need a lot more of this. It feels like the opening duels are deciding much more than maybe what we're used to in CS2. A lot of saving so far from Eternal Fire, maybe because of the lack of the AWP at places.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want from Woxic's first opportunity on that AWP. Let's see if Hetrick can get on the board with an AWP of his own.
Xantares would love to do the same. He's been given that one, and Essential taken down immediately. Xantares refacing and be able to trade, and Woxic shows he can do it with more than just the big green.
Bomb dropped as well, and it's into spawn. It's far from ideal. NPL going up towards that ledge just to get the refrag onto Xantares has put Hetrick in an awkward spot, but that's a lovely shot to find. Immediate reaction there onto Calix, Wicadia coming up on his flank, and Hetrick does seem all too privy to the idea. But I mean, time is low, and Woxic still holds control of that bomb. The missed shot from Hetrick will result in a round back for Eternal Fire. It's the AWP that does show a little bit of dominance.
And they get to keep it going to the next one as well, right? That's one of the most important things on Dust2, just making sure you can get it again and again when you've got an AWPer like Woxic. Now, the question is, what's the adjustment from Bait, right? Because you can plan out your first few gun rounds. You have those in your head. You have those prepped out when you're going into a game. This is where Eternal Fire can bring it back, make it a 6-6, or maybe Bait can push forward for what they need for a BO1 upset.
Once again, we will see nothing pacey. And I swear there was an update that came out that fixed the grenade doing a dink noise. I think Alex might have just been on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, I think he got dinged through the door, so...
Nate blew up at the same time, so I wasn't sure.
He just managed to get it done even when he has zero vision, didn't blow up the smoke, and there's doors in between. That's a real headshot machine, I'll have you know, all you Belgium fans. Woxic doesn't need headshots. Incendiary timing is good, does go deep as well, so Bait, who were hoping to play it a bit more tentative initially, are actually split up between Essential and the others.
But you see the adaptation, Eternal Fire recognizing that it's been the B bomb site so many times over. It's only 2 here for Eternal Fire in defense, and with Calyx getting dropped immediately, Woxic also sandwiched. No presence over towards long. There wasn't going to be any safe havens for that AWP to hide. Eternal Fire, they make the wrong call. They keep 3B, and those A players needed help.
You have to give a lot of credit out towards Bait, because it really does feel like this is such a well-planned game. And the desk talked about how maybe them going in towards Dust2 would be more unexpected, right? Their win rate's not great. They obviously come in on a loss streak, all of these things. Probably wasn't expected for Eternal Fire either, and this programming of that B bomb site is working wonders.
Eternal Fire did have last ban, though, so I think it was between...
It was between Nuke and Dust2, and Nuke's a map that Bait are very comfortable on.
Yeah. I don't think Eternal Fire are that bad at it either, so...
That's true, but Eternal Fire aren't that bad at most maps.
Yeah, they just decided, Dust2, we've got Xantaras, we've got Woxic, we'll be fine. But I think all those earlier rounds of success on B, the conditioning that Bait had set, obviously Eternal Fire trying to get ahead of it, and just as they zig, Bait zag.
It's not about lines and squiggles at this point, it's about rounds on top, and Eternal Fire are struggling, and this is where I do sort of hope that we see maybe a little bit more aggression and proactivity. That's one thing we haven't really seen them exploit so far. Any of the short, well, I don't even know if you should call it a boost anymore, but any of the short jump anymore. Vicadia, maybe he's going to be the playmaker over here. Does have Xantaras coming over with the flashbang, but NPL will take the fight to them before they even have the chance. No, Alex takes first duel. NPL will trade it out with Vicadia being caught with the smoke in his hand.
That's lovely stuff there from NPL. Just a staggered refrag. But Xantara is going inside of the mid-smoke. He's definitely close enough that he can provide this fast flank, but it's all about timings.
Essential could catch him as well.
Yeah.
And he's checking for it, but no, Xantara's still inside the smoke. Essential's worried, he sees the head, he's taking it down. And now with Woxic being the only member left, he doesn't have a weapon either. Major had been given the AWP to solo take the B bomb site. And with both their riflers dying in middle, that should be their hopes for the round gone. Bait guarantees 6.
Yeah, I mean, doing a great job of just keeping their wits about them, constantly checking for some of these cutesy plays. Even just the small micro there from NPL, I think he is really a focal point for this Bait roster, just in terms of individual improvement. You know, we saw him on Na'Vi initially. It did seem like he was a little timid, a little shy. He was also the lightning rod for a lot of criticisms, I guess, for Na'Vi at the time, who were doing a bit of soul searching. But man, just the small micro decisions that he makes actually is very impressive. You know, realizing that Vicadia is in a one-and-done position and not showing a lot of urgency to hunt down that refrag. You know, that's why Vicadia gets caught with the smoke. He's thinking if there was going to be someone looking to trade, he would have been there shoulder to shoulder right behind him.
It's really impressive when you consider that a lot of the Na'Vi cast-offs in terms of like NPL, you look towards SDY, these are the guys who, even in the Tier 2 region, they feel like they have this finesse to their game. You can see why Na'Vi took chances with them, perhaps. And it does look like NPL might be one of the most likely candidates to be the next snipe out of this B8 team if they can't find success. And this is also what these tournaments are about. It's finding success to keep your roster together even beyond the RMR. But now the flashes, the B-side hit, intercepted by Majors off. The first strike is there, and Vicadia is here to add the second to the tally. And they're not done yet. Vicadia, though, lost between targets, and Majors lost in the sauce, fried up open, and Woxic now smoked off, unable to find a kill in through it. Molotov trying to interrupt, but it'll only accelerate. Calyx moves forward. He's down on the bomb side, now down in the grave, and only Xantaras and Woxic left. The big two from the Turkish side. But do they want to contest here?
It might just be another save. I mean, Woxic is already so damn low. A smoke available, sure, but no Molotovs to make their retake any easier. Yeah, they're calling it quits. Bait have broken through. Even with those first 2 kills coming Eternal Fire's way, the constant bombardment of utility and the, I guess, the lack of proper aiming from Wekadia. You know, his first kill was incredibly labored. He didn't have bullets to keep fighting. It just immediately just blows up in their face. And then the deep Molotov into the window, forcing Calyx to commit to the fight before that bomb went down.
I mean, that's the impressive thing, just the Molotov usage over there. Bait gets 2 Molotovs out towards the back of the bomb site after losing 2 players.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of skill, maybe not skill, just a lot of wherewithal to be able to calm the team down and say, deploy Molotovs, take bomb site over, get those refrags, and then have that extra bit of utility to keep forcing fights forward so that 3v3 can't happen.
It's almost the stubbornness, you know, we were going to do this regardless of whether you got kills or not, and they still went through with it, and it really did pan out.
Guys, game plan is game plan, do not deviate.
Committing to the cause.
And that's what you need sometimes. It looks like Bait are finding exactly what they need. And maybe Sophie wasn't crazy all along. Miss Apples over on the desk did say Bait is her pick. Woxic, though, wants to prove her wrong, will only find the one. And Wekadia expected, almost lines them up, but can't get the frag. Again, this 3 versus 3, again, weakness on B.
This time they've got a lot more util, though. It's a faster protocol from Bait to just go with a very explosive B hit. So having smokes, having Molotovs, Eternal Fire will contest for this, especially with them running out of rounds in this half.
It does feel like they just don't have the choice, but at the same time, great post-plant positions. All 3 of them are playing out towards platform. It should be good retake, but this is a good incendiary. It's being lined up for the back of green. This should displace 2, but will it? The flash goes out. It's missed, and Alex is missing his shot. Captain Kurtka and Hedrick at the back of green now reveal, and it's Major to take them down. 1 at a time, he'll get the defuse as well. He might be the man to save the day for Eternal Fire.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Nice that you highlight that Molotov as well, because you could see them very clustered up together so that they could continue fighting towards windows, so that they could continue keeping tabs on the tunnels as well as door, and just jiggling and just hoping that they can guarantee trades. And even with that, even with the flashes, they're able to come away with quite a few kills, but some nice clean shooting there from the in-game leader of Eternal Fire. But it came at pretty heavy cost.
Yeah.
1-on-1, and you know Bait are going to have money to buy. They were on quite the streak.
Eternal Fire do have the benefit of all those saves, right? So their economy was never terrible. At the same time, sure, you miss out on some util, but you've got the double op. I will say it doesn't feel like the double op's always been that useful because of how many swarming efforts Bait has put together. But right now, it's all about getting 8 for Bait. That does feel like the magic number. And the magic man will reposition. Let Wekadia take over the B tunnels area, and now it's all about dealing with what looks to be once again mid-pressure, but Eternal Fire have no idea, are there members behind the smoke? They don't have grenades to pop them open. NPL could just phase this one through. Are there flashes? Will they be used? Hedrick has them, but Major's been taken down. Wekadia's found Essential, but now they know there's only one, and he's caught with a knife out, switching between positions and weapons. It's again this dreaded 3 versus 3 on the B bomb site. Last time they had Major to bail them out. Do they this time?
Well, I mean, he's gone, so they're going to need someone else to step up in this clutch. 3-on-3 where they do have a molly and a smoke. There are kits available all the same. Another Molotov being retrieved as well by Xantar is actually just being juggled over. But Captain Kurka's position is so hard to break, especially because they don't have flashes. Just holding the initial doors peak, but Calyx swinging out and finding that first. It's Hedrick to answer back immediately, but it has to be Hedrick to clutch, and it's coming down to time. Woxic could retrieve a kit on his way, but it's just too far gone. Hedrick will capitalize, and it will be 8 for Bait at the half.
You ask if we could talk, but then say nothing. Maybe you just had too much to say. 'Cause when you call me up, you just want one thing. And maybe in the end you'll get your way. But I just wanna know, oh, 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 yeah, if we should take it slow, oh, oh. take a moment to slow things down, work this out. I got your love on top, we're in the moment, and maybe that's what we're about. Tell me what you want me to be, baby. I promise I can be the one you're craving. 'Cause I think that I know what you've been chasing. And girl, I'm sick of waiting. I'll be yours for the taking. But I just wanna know, oh, 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 yeah, if we should take it slow, oh, 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 yeah. I just wanna show you I'd do anything for you, girl. I just wanna know, oh, 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 yeah. I just wanna know. I just wanna know. I just wanna know. I just wanna know you, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just wanna know, oh, 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 yeah, if we should take it slow, oh, 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 yeah. I just wanna show you I'd do anything for you, girl. I just wanna know, oh, 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 yeah. I just wanna know, oh, 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 yeah, if we should take it slow, oh, 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 yeah. Just wanna know, I just wanna show you I'd do anything for you, girl. I just wanna know, oh, 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 yeah. I just wanna know. I just wanna know. I just wanna know. I just wanna know.
Bait smell water in the blood, and it is Turkish Eternal Fire backed up against the ropes, 4-8 down. The question is, can they bring it back, or is this going to be an upsetting start?
I'm just surprised that they can smell water. How do they
Did I
do
say
that?
water in the blood?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? Water in the blood would smell pretty nice, to be fair.
There is, but there was a lot
Yeah.
of blood in that first half.
You know what? This is why you should pre-program things sometimes, not just wing it. Does look like Eternal Fire have winged it over to the A side. They've been very unpleasantly surprised to find out how vacant it is, but now bomb information given over, and suddenly the CTs are confused. Bait have decided we found a lot of success for B site hits on our T side. Why not do it again on CT?
Look, 3 players are flanking from the tunnels, though.
Yeah.
They're coming so fast that I don't think Eternal Fire are quite ready for this. They have to stand tall. You needed a kill from Calyx, and even at distance, that Tara is struggling with these dualies and just rapid firing. It's NPL that finds it, and the kit and the smoke on the bomb as well. This is complete robbery from Bait. They read ahead, even with Alex getting caught out, they still find the round.
I gotta present you a scenario now, okay? T side, all they're doing is abusing the B bombs. The Eternal Fire have to go for retakes over and over again. Now they're thinking, phew, you know what? Actually, at least we won't have to retake the B side. First round in, you gotta retake the B side in exactly the same circumstances. You're locked out by smokes. You've got to smoke down on the bomb as well. It feels like you just can't win the round. Oh, disastrous.
That's a nightmare.
Why does he look unhappy? He won the
Because he got caught out on B. So he was thinking, oh, if I just stayed on top of those boxes, I get free kills, but don't worry, his team have him.
I can't believe Eternal Fire just got the A side for free and then they went into B though.
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan the whole time. They wanted to force rotations, but as soon as Bait didn't react, that should have sent the red flags. I think even then linking up would have been difficult because you had 3 players
Pushing into upper tunnels?
Yeah, well, they were just gravitated and just hovering inside of mid, waiting to find a lurker, I think. And when they didn't find the lurker and Alex got the info, they just flanked, and Eternal Fire were clearly not ready. It's a nice tag from Woxic at the start, a force buy from Eternal Fire after they get that bomb plant and lose the pistol.
A lot of util prioritized over here as well, so they should have a clear game plan of what they want to do in the late round. Eternal Fire are slowing things down massively, though. It's largely about playing map control and seeing if they can find anyone who can maybe push into them initially. But Bait have no such intentions. They themselves have utility, 2 smokes and an incendiary is a lot to be holding on to on Dust2. It feels like it's all you really need. Sometimes. But will the lack of information start to bite at the back of their minds at some point or the other? Because NPL, now he reveals that he's got full long control. Eternal Fires start to gravitate back. If they wanted to retake, though, now they know there's a smoke down, so things get trickier.
Yeah, they actually just can't force that fight. It would just be far too awkward. And even with all that presence, NPL gives up long, even with the smoke that's down. It doesn't wait out the duration. But they're starting to think about rotates. Captain Kirker will get eyes on short.
That's a labored spray, not what you want at all. Xantares takes him down, but flashed up by his teammate, and Hetrick will be given a chance because of it. They're scaling up, but he can't find the kills, and with that, what looked like a fantastic round for Bait has dissolved into a save. Eternal Fire will fight back.
Yeah, they were forced to make this decision. They didn't really have a whole lot of other options. Sure, they had a couple of smokes. They could have maybe gone for a mid to B, but without the layering of flashes, it would have added more difficulties, I guess, breaking in. But they brought in 2 hero rifles, and both of them find kills.
I think it's also the threat of the mid to B that they were worried about, because Bait's response to the double smokes out in middle was to try and reinforce and get information in long and tunnels. And when they flash into long and NPL doesn't actually find anyone, he's not willing to go even further on, because that's where a lurker could catch him out. Same for B tunnels, so they think they have information. They start to go back towards the mid side because they're worried about that mid to B.
What is NPL up to? Isn't he a little too close to the bomb?
He's dead.
Oh, he's fine.
What? Okay. Surprise, Xantares. He can't recover the AK, which kind of sucks, but all right.
What a ratty play. Just to get another rifle out. Xantares is probably not going to be too pleased, but he got his kill. He got the round with it. Force buy for Eternal Fire will bear fruit. That's also one of the things about Dust2 is that, you know, there are other maps where you can make use of it, but it doesn't feel like you have the same success rate. Just one lane of attack into a bomb site.
It's also a classic hero AK map as well.
Yeah. So maybe some questions for Bait about how they approach this following buy. They're probably going to force buy back.
And look, let's be honest. CT side is where they were supposed to have the most issues, right? CT side is where, like the desk highlighted, the team does kind of fall off a little bit. It does feel like Hetrick sometimes turtles up a little bit. I won't lie to you. That commentator that Sam said she stole the stats from, that was me. So I'll give you the real stats over here, right, guys? It is that top 30 teams, Hetrick goes down from a 115 to a 0.95, and he doesn't actually attempt that many opening kills on the CT side, which can be an issue, especially going into one of your first lands. Xantares, though, in the meanwhile, always steady, and Wikadia is there to add another. So despite the early aggression that Bait will attempt, they end up on the back foot, and now they have to try and reinforce the site. It's gamble or win, or maybe gamble and lose. To be fair, there is that option too.
Yeah. I have to say, Bait has been doing a very good job of kind of limiting the effectiveness of Xantares. Outside of the one round where he got 3 kills at long with a saved rifle, he's been, you know, he's still getting his ones, but he's been very often traded.
The problem is when you say you're limiting his effectiveness and he's still 13 and 10, that does go to show you what kind of a player this man is. And it's obviously not the monstrous performances we can expect, but now the monsters are looming in. They have ducked behind the smoke. Majors come in through ramp, and now Hetrick, fantastic shot with the scout, will give Captain Kurtka a chance to really fight back. Are they expecting him? Yes, they are, and well, twice over, Calyx will make sure the round will have no further complications.
Yeah, Captain Kirker just tried to sow in those seeds of chaos a little too soon almost. I mean, with Hetrick taking attention and finding that opening kill, it actually could have provided an opportunity for Captain Kirker to punish the bomb planter or maybe the defender of it. But revealing himself, I think, a little too early, and it makes the job of Calyx a little easier as well when there's 2 angles that you're fighting, but the adjustment for your aim is actually not too different between the 2 fights.
I think the assumption is probably also, hey, Scout Deagle, you body tag him, I'll body tag him, he's dead, we don't need to hit the crazy shots, but then Calyx shows that he can do that.
Yeah. A very stable piece within Eternal Fire, I think, that can show some flares occasionally of a bit more of an aggressive style, but I think the only maps where I really see that are, Vertigo, and that's just because the map is a little bit, you know, there's very independent fights you can take on 3 different portions, so...
Plus, from what Vu has sort of talked about, Calyx does have very strange vertical aim anyway, in terms of sometimes he'll just adjust a lot vertically. And listen, I haven't seen this myself, but I trust Vu. Vu's the kind of guy to find weird little tidbits like that.
why does Zontix aim so low?
And Calyx aim so high.
Yeah.
Bait aimed high with their start, but now Alex's AK, I'd like to call it a hero AK, but I don't know if he's quite got his cape on just yet. Swings out, Major is forced off, and now with the T's backing off, they know where this AK is.
God.
They've got nades, they've got flames, and they've got every way of making him regret his decision.
I have to say, I'm really surprised the HEs didn't do more, because I felt like they were just throwing so many at them. The Molotov doing, I think, most of the damage there. They will be lucky they got out of that Inferno.
But Inferno was bad.
Yeah.
Nice shot on the head trick as well. In the meanwhile, Eternal Fire have been good all game long about mitigating the amount of damage that's also dealt to them, even on the CT side, always being very responsible about saves, which is what let them get a little bit closer in some of those later rounds. Of course, now it feels like it's going to be more relevant, though. Their money's been built up massively, and they should be pretty much set for life unless Bait start fighting back now.
I mean, nice sharpshooting anti-eco from Major as well. Clearly, he's got a bit of fire to him, and sometimes it does take some time for him to show his own level like that. But
he did get that sick 1v2.
Yeah, well, if he hits shots like that through the whole map, Bait have more than a couple problems on their hands.
That flashbang sailed way too deep. Head trick was never going to get out of there alive.
It's the kind of flash you get in a pug, and you just have to trust it.
Trust me, bro, he's going to be blind.
Yeah. I learned the God lineup, and
God is not helping him today.
yeah, he's not actually flashed.
Utility's out for Bait as well, so now at this point it does feel like it has to be an individual point of aggression. That individual has been shut down. That's a flashbang and a half right there. Xantar is helping Major pick up another NPL in the meanwhile. Position reveal. Major docked out a dodge, and Xantar is kicked out of hell. It's back to a 3-on-3, now down to 2. Look at this aggression. Bait want to take control, and they've found the bomb. Calyx now struggles to make this lurk work. He's been forced to reveal position. Wikadia in middle can't get the shots in, and now suddenly NPL's heroics have turned around this entire game, potentially.
Calyx has to find this first and cleanly, but Essential, just completely unbeknownst to him that Calyx could be out towards middle. That is a free kill, and NPL just completely full of ego, just goes straight for the swing. I can't believe he gave up his position. He had actually safe passage to cut off Calyx for the bomb, but with a rifle, just throws in chaos inside of middle and just keeps on finding kill after kill, even with 2 clean openers from Eternal Fire.
I mean, it looked like Major was going to just duck out and try and double peek in with Xantares, but because he had an extra player on the side, Xantares couldn't actually swing out fully either. So it's a very nice little double player from Bait overall, but NPL does come out with the spotlight on him, and for good reason.
Yeah, he's been a real focal point for this Bait roster. They're running through the Molotov. Wikadia losing so much health, so losing his opening fight to Alex, but he's still moving forward into this B-bomb site. Essential, MP9, he's trying his best, but the Molotov making it awkward. Opening picks over at B, as well as breaking straight through it. They will have control, and they will have chances to plant.
Essential just sold his teammate down a river over there, but this could be a chance if you take down Xantares and recover the rifle. Do you want to contest? There's frankly a better argument to be made for saving the op over here as well, but it does feel like you're giving Eternal Fire a lot, so at least NPL will go around and have a swing at it. Even just containment is nice. You are at the point where Eternal Fire's money can be put down a little bit. Not sure. Well, with Captain Kurtka dying, this round is over.
Yeah. They were going to give this a proper look in, but NPL might still try and slide out and be a bit cheeky, but yeah,
that's a mistake.
Punished just for hovering around. They had to exit this bomb site at some level, and Headtrick even losing a lot of health. If he loses this AWP, it is very, very bad. And yeah, he jumps across.
Okay.
He Molotov the doors too.
Let's talk about this. He mollies the door, jumps across and dies. NPL stays for too long over there in a place where he's never going to get anything done. Let's be realistic. He dies. Essential is pulling out utility while they're coming into the B bomb set and dueling with his teammate. Alex gets the first kill with the FAMAS, but he doesn't have any support at all from that backside player. This is just a mess of a round coming out from Bait. And this is why you have to be worried about that CT side, because now you're not programming. Now you don't have the set of rounds that you already prepared going into this tournament being like, hey, yeah, guys, we've got 6 gun rounds. We know exactly what we're going to do. It's surprising, but it feels like in the modern day CT side is where you display creativity in Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I think as well, you know, Bait are a team that are very good at making snap decisions in mid-rounds, but this round felt very off-tempo. You know, even from Eternal Fire's point of view, them challenging past that Molotov is such an odd timing for Bait internally that it throws them all out of whack. A very peculiar round, but one that Eternal Fire will be pleased with. Punishing all those hovering weapons. Does put Bait down onto a full save.
Come on, give me some of that Deagle goodness. Hedrick won't have an op in the next round, actually.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
I don't want Deagle goodness. Actually, can I just have USPs instead?
Even if he had gone with USP, he wouldn't have.
No Deagle, no armor. What's the loss bonus at?
Should be 2400, no?
Oh, let's see. We're going to find out soon anyway. Essentials found 1. Good for him. Unfortunately, I don't know what that has to do with everything else. At least Hedrick picks up an AK as well. Maybe more kills to be found? No, not quite. Instead, it's Captain Kurtka who's been relegated to the last alive, and yeah, that's he went from 1600 to 4K. If you 2400, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, he would have been 50 short of getting an AWP and no armor.
Well, that's going to be 1,000 short on utility. There you go.
Yeah, well, he's going to be shortchanged regardless. Definitely wanted a little bit more out of that round. Did make it a little interesting, but once again, contained. An Eternal Fire trailing by 1. Oh, chance there for Woxic. Almost capitalizing on a close doors cross there from Alex. You saw those B defaulters for Eternal Fire ready to pounce had they found that opener, but back to standard procedures here for Eternal Fire.
It is pretty interesting to see both the teams on their CT sides leaving mid open as much as they are. Right, Eternal Fire did the same thing. It felt like they were abused for it. Bait, so far, don't feel like that's why they're losing these rounds, but also in a lot of these late rounds do not have points of trying to aggress up mid to get that information back, except for in the one that they actually took forward with NPL.
That close doors Molotov is a pretty clear signal of intent for Eternal Fire. Very rarely going to throw util like that if you don't actually have a lurker coming out and taking space. Zantara is hesitant peek, but Captain Kurtka getting both. The trade that Calyx tried to line up, almost a triple there for Captain Kurtka, but getting confirmation of another player out towards long, and that is already massive signal flares here for Eternal Fire. How on earth can you get that progress? Major, a good opener, but it's just not enough to bail Eternal Fire out of this round.
It's still 2 versus 3, and they do have possession of the bomb. It's a 1-on-1 on the A side that you have to worry about initially, and with Woxic already scoping past, it feels like Hedrick is set up for success. If Woxic can find 1 on the short side of it, if he gets a good flick here, you never know what's coming your way, and he had the chance, but he can't do anything with it. Hedrick now revealed, Wicadia takes him down, but that's a trade, and you can't get over to plant the bomb, not in time. A need to go deep, but they're not low enough to finish him off, and now with Woxic getting the plant down, you have 1 shot, 1 opportunity to no-scope NPL, but can't pull the gun out in time. NPL will take it away, but that is expensive.
Man, you see the fearlessness of NPL in that situation. 8 seconds when he starts to punch in those digits, and NPL just starts running immediately. It's not like Woxic couldn't have faked the plant and then pulled his AWP out in time, but he called that bluff, and yeah, Woxic just couldn't bolt his AWP back in time. Great hold from Captain Kurtka. I mean, just isolated fights with Eternal Fire trying to contact out long. They get punished for their mistake. And you usually give that fight to Xantares. You know, you usually expect him to win it.
Or Wicadia for that matter.
Yeah, and both just got floored immediately.
Oh, Woxic! A little bit of classic Woxic hopping will bring them right back in advantage. Eternal Fire will feel good about that. They went into this round with a Mach 10.
I mean, that looked close to being a collateral almost as well. That could have been absolutely crazy.
Diabolical.
Both of them pathing the same way, but bullet only destined for 1.
Is there a game plan to bring this back? They have started to really heavily lean towards the A side, now looking for a full stack here for Bait, if I'm honest. And it's the right call to make, but the problem is going to be Captain Kurtka. If there's an isolation play back out towards long, that would be nice to see, but Eternal Fire has actually prioritized grenades over flashes pretty heavily.
It'll also come down to whether or not Wicadia actually probes with his SMG, given that it's the least valuable weapon that they own. But he's looking to relink back up with the squad for an A-side hit, and you called that stack for Bait. They're in the right place.
Especially now with the double man setup, if they can just catch off Calyx out on long, this would be huge. Hetrix in a great position as well. If they don't Molotov out Hetrick, it does feel like this round is unwinnable, and right now he's been left alone, but Wicadia flying through the air, and it's a traded shot. Woxic takes him down, NPL reveals himself, nice little duck out of dodge, and Captain Kurtka will do his job with the grenade instead of the bullets. Woxic left alone. 2 kills to the round, the only 2 they have found, but with 15 seconds on the clock, Eternal Fire will recede.
Yeah, there's just no hope in winning that. I mean, a fantastic leg there from Hetrick. The fact that he even gets away with a kill, re-peeking back into that angle, it's already a very challenging fight to go for. You don't expect to get away with your life, but a very quick shot, and then some nice supportive utility. But Bait already read ahead of that play. They had players in position to capitalize, and unfortunately for Eternal Fire, they don't realize that they're falling into that stack.
I just feel bad for Woxic.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as though this was a round that was heavily programmed for them to go into the gamble, but they lose 1 on the cross. They just say, yeah, you know what? If they go B, so be it. And you would think that will be the logical course of action as well. You get 1 on the cross, your B anchor actually is lacking a supportive player. You're pulling attention away from that A bomb site to plug up the gap at the start of a round. You could see why Eternal Fire are maybe trying to read ahead, and if you were going to stack anywhere, to be honest, B would have made maybe more sense.
I would say that maybe it's also down to the utility that they purchased, because they didn't have flashes. And
yeah,
going into the B bomb site without flashes is just madness, right? It's nearly impossible to get that round to work in your favor. So maybe it's just a bit of a lack of utility over there, but that doesn't work too well for them in A either. So it's a question for them to debate later on in the demo. Right now, it's all about the next round, and it is coming with flashes galore. Captain Kurtka forced off, but he hesitates before actually switching positions. Well, let the smoke go down. That's going to be lots of space to cross over, but Woxic's off is exactly what they're hoping to set up. If he gets back to platform, that's what they want for the rest of this round. Woxic to have a clear shot, a clear chance of putting them down.
This will be a test of patience here for Bait. Do they re-peak? Do they challenge long? Especially when that open Woxic's hands could punish immediately.
Tech9 to close the distance with Xantares to take the charge. Captain Kurtka on the bomb side. He has been a savior of Bait many times over, especially on the CT side. But he is completely alone. He's been given assistance. It will not matter. Xantares! What an adjustment. And immediately, it's time for Bait to back off. They will not be able to go for this retake unless they strike soon. And PL being very careful. He's worried about being taken down before his teammates can make their way up to short. And with Major's position, you have to remember, he can always commit to a full flank coming in from behind as well. Bait will back off.
Yeah, completely calling the save. Had they got HEs in spawn and so that they could actually cancel that plant and just delay further, if they'd been able to chew off that clock for maybe an extra 15, 20 seconds while making Eternal Fire uncomfortable, they maybe would have gone for this. But they cede a lot of ground. They give a lot of respect to the buy of Eternal Fire, and yeah, you could just see how quickly it kind of blows up in their face. It's a very explosive round. NPL, some nice kills on the exit, but Wicadia will be able to get away with his. Will take a fair amount of damage, but 3 players will survive for either squad. So Eternal Fire, they get themselves up to double digits. They get themselves within punching distance to tie it up and push overtime.
It does feel like with the saving habits, though, we're not going to be giving any free rounds for here at all. Beautiful shot again from Xantares. It is just nice to see.
Yeah, it's maybe a little unfortunate for Bait that Eternal Fire went for such a heavy long control round where Bait only really wanted to get a glimpse of information. They didn't have players that could throw supportive utility. Captain Kurtka was alone. It's a 3B start here for Bait. That is a clear signal that they're going to try and make use of these saved rifles and push for info. It's an opener from Headtrick as well around the mid-smoke.
Mikadia's made noise, I believe, and no, he's going to find two massive. He's not ready for NPL around the corner. NPL will trade maybe more, but Xantares keeps himself alive. What could have been an absolute robbery over there, bring it back to a 3-on-2. Ends up being Xantares saving it.
Oh, you imagine if he had a 5.7 or a P250 or something, anything but a USP would have given it a better chance. It's a miss from Headtrick. Could have brought this to a 1-on-2, but they now know exactly where he is, and they can do everything within their power to just run the other way.
It's a nice call from Bait, but it does feel like it's one of the only calls of proactivity we've seen from them on their CT side, and it comes in a round where it's one of your quote-unquote no-risk ones, because you're not expecting to win it anyway.
It's also, I mean, you've got two USPs. How else are you going to make use of them in any capacity, right? So almost like a forced decision.
Yeah.
Well, you want them to hold on to a bomb site with a standard issue pistol? I don't think so.
Sometimes they couldn't do it with a rifle.
But great perseverance, some great shooting from Wikadia in this round. They were trying to guarantee trades, and he just hit headshot after headshot. He's 21-15. You know, we had a lot of focus, obviously, on Xantares and Woxic as these explosive players, but Wikadia as the prospect that we weren't sure that the Turkish scene would be able to deliver on. They had a lot of good words to say about him when he first joined the teams, and then there was a little moment where you maybe saw a couple mistakes start to rear its head, but he's refined his game so much. And you can see the kind of output he can deliver for this Turkish squad.
That kill on the Headtrick is massive.
Yeah.
That could be game-changing. Especially when you consider that NPL was sticking around for a few of these extra kills to keep the T-side economy tamed. And it doesn't feel like it's anything at that point, but it's always second-order effect. It's always 3 rounds down when you might be thinking, well, would have loved to have an extra 3,000 on my hands.
Yeah, not sure how much of that is NPL playing the long game or just being a confident guy, because he plays like that so frequently, and it's just so night and day.
It's also possible that's a conversation they've had, right? Like, listen, guys, we're not doing on LAN what we would online. Let's force ourselves into the game from game number 1. We're in a winning position. Let's make sure our form never dips, all of that stuff, because the mental game does matter, but the money game matters maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, Headtrick not being able to save that up means that he will not have it for the final round of regulation. They are shortchanged on kits, on util, and lacking that big green. But some of that may not matter. With the way that Eternal Fire have been calling these slow rounds, sometimes Bait have been ahead of those plays. I think there were definitely more tricks up the sleeves of Bait coming into this Dust2, even with their shoddy win rate on the map. They maybe had to explore a bit more to get any success.
I don't know if they've got any more rabbits to pull out of the hat, but this would be the time to do it. Eternal Fire are 1 round away from overtime. And considering they started off 9-4 with Bait winning the pistol round, that's not the ending they would want to this half. Alex will be the focal point. A jump spot reveals the AWP and more. They know Eternal Fire's intentions, but will they bite down on it? The rest of the 3 players so far away. The flashbang is perfect, but Essential still gets it done. Nade has been dodged. Alex will frag back, and Bait might do it with 2. These 2 players on the B-bomb side keep it under control, but Woxic and Major do the same. Woxic has been jumped down on NPL, and Captain Kurtka have got 1 man to take down Major. Another 1v2 on this B bomb site is absolutely vital. He ducks away, he takes his opponent's position, and they might not expect it. They turn around, but Captain Kurtka gets it done. Bait will upset.
Such a tragedy. Another 1 versus 2, and they had backs turned. That was matters for the taking. But Bait have caused an upset immediately in Group A, where we're talking about Eternal Fire as the tournament favorites. They fumble in their opening best of 1.
And it did feel like they got it so close, but you can't even blame Bait